Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you're joining me from. Do you know that 70% of successful people reported experiencing imposter syndrome at some point in their life? 75% of executive women say that they have experienced imposter syndrome. Likewise, 80% of CEOs feel out of that in their role due to imposter syndrome. 84% of entrepreneurs and small business owners report experiencing imposter syndrome. And you ask me, Adeola, how did you get to know all this? This information are words and facts gotten by Dr. Valerie Young, an internationally recognized expert and the co-founder of Imposter Syndrome Institute. Now, does imposter syndrome only affect professionals? Does it only affect leaders? Does it only affect executives? Absolutely no. According to findings by notable psychologists, they reported that 82% of college students, graduate students, medical students, and professionals have experienced imposter syndrome before, or while some are still experiencing imposter syndrome. What does that tell us? That imposter syndrome has not come to play, but to take a larger chunk of human if given the opportunity and chance. But my question to you, would you allow imposter syndrome to take a better or a larger chunk of you? Would you let imposter syndrome stop you from achieving your goals? Would you give imposter syndrome the opportunity for you not to achieve your aim or your set goals? And that's why we're going to be having a conversation around imposter syndrome today. But before we go further, I would love to introduce myself. I am Adeola Folorunso. I am a healthcare professional and I've been in the healthcare space for well over 15 years. I'm also a global health advocate and the founder of Matter Mental. Matter Mental is a non-governmental organization with the aim of impacting lives across the spectrum using an evidence-based mental health model. So, thank you for joining me and let's get rolling. Relax, have your glasses, get a cup of water, just like me, while we are ready to discuss an important topic that is impacting the human race. Imposter syndrome does not, and I repeat, does not respect any race, culture, gender, social status, geographical location. Anybody could be impacted and be affected by imposter syndrome. Today, we will be discussing a subject matter, which is imposter syndrome, but we're going to be tackling this using a fictional case study of a particular physician who experienced imposter syndrome, how he battled with imposter syndrome, and how he also navigated imposter syndrome, how he became successful in managing that. So let's get going. I'm going to be reading the case study right now. We have Dr. Alex, a 29-year-old newly licensed physician, secured a position in a prestigious hospital's internal medicine department. Despite excelling in medical school and receiving positive feedback from mentors, Dr. Alex constantly felt unqualified compared to experienced colleagues. Every shift brought anxiety as they feared making mistakes or being exposed as inadequate. So this is a case study from Dr. Alex, and it's a fictional case study. Whether fictional or not, it does happen. And anybody, like I earlier said, could be exposed. Nobody's immune because there's actually no immunization or vaccine. that it can immune us from imposter syndrome. But there are strategies around it. And that's why we're having the conversation today. So, with the fictional case study by Dr. Alex, what are the challenges that Dr. Alex faced? The first thing was that the fear of incompetence in terms of his skills, in terms of his knowledge. Remember from the case study, despite Dr. Alex did so well in medical school, despite Dr. Alex had the skills to be successful, despite the good feedback, he was still having the feeling of incompetence in him. And you ask yourself, have you ever been in that situation before? That despite your skill sets, despite your knowledge and your attitude and your preparation, you still feel that you are incompetent? Are you one of those Dr. Alex out there? Ask yourself. This section is not to judge anybody. Like I said, imposter syndrome affects everybody. Nobody is immune. There is no vaccine, unfortunately. So, another thing in experience was difficulty accepting praise. Oftentimes, the senior colleague, friends, loved ones would say, "Hey, Alex, you're doing amazingly well." And you'd be like, "Really? Am I?" He was constantly judging himself. He was constantly downplaying his own capacity. Also, he would always overwork himself just to compensate. He would do so many things within a short period just to show that he's able and competent. He didn't have to. Has that ever happened to you before? Despite your knowledge, despite your experience about something, you still overwork yourself just to prove points to people or just to prove a point. And you ask yourself, is that how it's supposed to be? This section, like I said, it's going to be a moment of reflection. It's going to be a moment of you thinking inward and looking at how far and how much has imposter syndrome taken a hold from you, or what imposter syndrome has done to you. Also, he would always compare himself with other people. And you know when Dr. Alex do his comparison, Dr. Alex would not compare apple to apple. What he would do, he would compare apple to pineapples. And what do I mean by that? Dr. Alex would compare, because he was just starting off as a physician, he would compare himself to a physician that has been practicing for 5 years. He was just 6 months into his job. Now, take a step back. Have you experienced such before? Have you thought about you're starting a new job, you're new to a particular place, or you're starting a new role and you're burning yourself out because you're still trying to figure out how things are being done? But I'm saying to you, you're not alone. But as we get further into this conversation, we'll be able to see the strategies that we can adopt and strategies that Dr. Alex adopted that actually helped him to start to believe in himself. The last thing Dr. Alex was also experiencing was that he believes that he should have everything figured out. He believes that he needs to know everything. And that's what imposter syndrome does to us. So, what are the things we'll be discussing today? I have talked about the case study of Dr. Alex and what his challenges, that's where we are right now. But the next phase would be, what do I intend to address in this conversation? Number one, we've looked at the case study, the challenges, and the other thing is what imposter syndrome is. I have been talking about imposter syndrome. A lot of people would say, "Hey, Diola, what is imposter syndrome?" I would also be touching the neuroscience of imposter syndrome, meaning how it affects the brain, what imposter syndrome does to our brain and to the body as a whole. And more importantly, I will also be addressing the strategies to dealing with imposter syndrome. So relax and let's get this done. So imposter syndrome itself, I'm sure it's what a lot of people know. Maybe you might even be experiencing it that you do not know. It's possible. There's possibility that you might have been experiencing imposter syndrome. But what exactly is imposter syndrome? It is a phenomenon whereby you persistently feel like a fraud. You believe that you do not belong here. There is that ongoing self-doubt of intellect and accomplishment. So despite you have put in the work, the hard work, and you know that, yes, this is as a result of your hard work. This is as a result of you putting the work. You still doubt yourself. When people give you when people give you the they give you that moment of, hey, you've done so well. You know, they give you that good feedback. You still doubt yourself. You still question, really? Did I really do well? Maybe they're going to find out soon that I'm not as good as, they think I am. There are those internal conversations going on. The people externally, people are seeing you to be one of the best, one of the experienced, one of the great set of people doing your job properly. But within you, you are having a constant battle in the mind with the feeling that you have to do more, you have to overcompensate, you have to go extra mile. I'm not saying do not go extra mile, but do not go extra mile at the detriment of your mental health. Do not go extra mile at the detriment of your physical health. Do not go extra mile at the detriment of your well-being. So this is what Dr. Alex was doing. So despite having that skills, knowledge, attitude, and competency, you still doubt yourself. Why do you do that? Why? What is it? What is responsible for it? And let me let you know. Yes, you can see my facial expression change. Imposter syndrome does not just come as, hi, I'm imposter syndrome. I'm here to take a whole lot of it from you. I'm here to take a chunk from you. I'm here to stop you. No, it's a gradual process. And if you do not identify it, if you do not pay attention to that, it becomes something that might take a hold of you. So it does not come as if it's coming to attack you or to affect you. It is a gradual process. You need to start silencing. You need to start, silencing those feelings, those inner thoughts, those negative self-talk that come in. You have to silence them. You have to put down the tone, put them in a situation, in a box that you are in control. You have to put them in the silence mode because you are in charge. If you do not take charge, imposter syndrome is ready to take the wheel, is ready to just drive you in any direction of low self-esteem. You become a shadow of who you are, a shadow of yourself. So some of the things you begin to experience, and you ask me, Adeola, so how do I know I have imposter syndrome? How do I know I'm dealing with one? How do I know that this is it? You might begin to have anxiety. You might begin to isolate yourself. A lot of times you will doubt yourself. Even with things that you can do, you begin to doubt yourself. You begin to have that apprehension that soon you'll be exposed. But the question is, why are you worried? Why are you bothered? You have everything it takes. Why are you so bothered? What are you scared of? You've done everything. With Dr. Alex, he was even the best graduating medical student. And during his residency, he was doing so well. But he would always, always doubt his competence and himself. Also, if you do not take the wheel, if you do not put imposter syndrome in the silent mode, you might begin to go into depressive states. So that's why I say that it is not something that comes as if it's coming to attack you. It will come as if in a gradual process, but you have to pay attention to yourself. You have to pay attention to those soft, gradual inflowing of imposter syndrome into yourself or into anything you do. And when it comes, it takes charge. Whenever anything takes charge of you, that's it. You're always thinking, soon I will be fished out. You're always thinking that somebody will soon catch me and they will think I'm not capable. No, no. You've done what you're supposed to do. And when you think you have not done enough, ask for help. Right? So now you look at how did we even get to this phase? How does imposter syndrome come to be? What is causing imposter syndrome? Now I would take this in two aspects. The aspect of the internal causes of imposter syndrome, what might be causing that? Then secondly, I'll look at the external factors, and sometimes some of these factors can actually be modified. The first thing is that there is a part in your brain to start with. There is a part in your brain which is called the anterior cingulate cortex. This part of the brain helps to detect error, mistakes. It keeps that record of mistakes. And they are dealing with imposter syndrome, that aspect is so very, very active because a portion of your brain is always keeping the mistakes you have made. A portion of your brain is always keeping the error, forgetting the fact that nobody's perfect, forgetting the fact that we should be allowed to make mistakes and learn from our mistakes, but do not let that take a hold of you such that you cannot or you become frozen and you are not making sense out of life anymore, or you're not making sense out of your career, or you're not making sense out of a relationship, all because of imposter syndrome. You're isolating yourself. So a portion of your brain, when immediately the brain gets the trigger, of course your brain will react. Your brain will pick the signal, which is the anterior cingulate cortex, a part of the brain that I said it will record every error, every mistakes, and it's always very active. And not only that, it does not just operate on its own. There's something we call the amygdala hijack. Amygdala itself is it's part of the limbic system, and it's a part that just it looks at how it helps to regulate emotions, motivations, memory, and learning, right? But when it comes to when you begin to not believe in yourself and you begin to doubt yourself, the amygdala hijack comes in and hijack your memory, hijack your feelings, hijack everything about you. And what it does? It does much record of, it process fear, it process threats. So between the portion of the brain, which is the anterior cingulate cortex, and the amygdala hijack, they work together and, make you always remember having that feeling of I'm not competent, I'm not capable, I'm not the best for this job. It is not, I'm not supposed to be here, I'm not worthy to be here. So both part of the brain, they work synergistically, in synergy, collectively, to make this happen. And so what happened to your body? And that's when you begin to have that anxiety, you begin to have the fear, you isolate yourself, depression setting. And not only that, have you ever noticed that whenever you have all these feelings, let's have a conversation. Let's reflect now. Have you ever noticed that whenever you have this feeling, there is always that you're so stressed. You're just stressed up. And what does that do to you? You know what stress does? It releases a particular hormone called cortisol. And too much cortisol in the body is not good. It is not good. And especially for people who are diabetic, you have to take caution on that. One thing leading to another thing. First was the fear of I'm not capable. The next thing was that you're stressed up. And from stress, your body's releasing the hormone. And that's why I said the neuroscience behind, or the neuroscience of imposter syndrome, where a portion of your brain plus the amygdala hijack come together to activate the fear, keep that memory of it. Every time you're always scared, the feeling of I'm not good enough, I'm not competent, I'm not the best person for this role, I need to do more before I can actually step up and take a better role. No, you're perfect the way you are. Let no one tell you otherwise. And so you do all that and you become stressed. And with stress, like I earlier said, cortisol. And you know what cortisol does to the body? It's a stress hormone. And I was saying something about those that are diabetics. You have to take caution. You have to watch your stress level. Whatever might be causing it. If yours is coming from low self-esteem, if yours is coming from imposter syndrome, you need to watch that. Because when there is too much cortisol in the system, which is the stress hormone, it competes with insulin. Insulin is what helps to regulate the blood sugar in the system. It pushes back the sugar back into the cell. But when there is too much cortisol in your system, it will fight, it will compete, it will resist the function of insulin. And because of that, there will be too much sugar flowing all around in your body, in your blood. And that's what we call the hyperglycemia. So you will never have thought how imposter syndrome could do that to you. It will, because once the brain is involved, once there is amygdala hijack, you begin to release cortisol excessively. And your blood sugar level might not be properly managed. So those that are diabetic, please take caution. Because one aspect of what you're doing, your attitude, your actions from giving in to imposter syndrome could actually lead to that. So another part we have to look at is like, those are the internal thing going on. But what about the external parts? And I want parents, please come closer. Come closer, please. Parents. We've also noticed that childhood experiences would, when a child experiences, or grows up in an environment where they are not being appreciated, is always negative talk, saying negative things to the child, telling the child that you never amount to something. The child, for some reason, might begin to process that and begin to internalize that. And that might actually carry that child to adulthood if care is not taken. So parents, be careful. Experiences of children while they're younger might go into adulthood. And this might be leading to low self-esteem and imposter syndrome. So when they're with their peers, They might not be able to function well. They believe they do not deserve to be here. I do not deserve to be here. So parents, this is not to say that any adult who is undergoing imposter syndrome should go and meet their parents. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that if you ever have a child, say positive things to them, because some of these words will be registered in the brain. It's being kept in the brain, which is the limbic system aspect of the brain that helps to for memory, motivations and all that part of learning. That could be stored in that aspect of the brain. When you leave a child, constantly expose a child, constantly use negative words to a child, telling the child derogatory things or things to bring out that child, that could lead to imposter syndrome in adulthood if care is not taken. Also, right? Have you ever asked yourself, those people that always want to, you know, cross their T's and dot their I's? These are people perfectionists. They want to make sure everything is just so perfect. They do that all the time. And when that thing is not perfect, they begin to stress out. They begin to feel less of themselves. Imposter syndrome sets in. Perfectionist. What am I saying in essence? Watch your personality. The role of personality in imposter syndrome. Watch it. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. What you need is the confidence and keep moving. And when you need support along the line, reach out. Perfectionist, personality plays a huge role as well. And also, my message to people who are always sensitive about everything. Everything goes into them. Everything they take personally. So, we see the internal aspects, the internal cause, and what imposter syndrome could do to your brain and what it would do to the body. And how imposter syndrome can actually, even for those people who are diabetics, how it can continue to increase your blood sugar because you're releasing too much cortisol that is competing with the insulin to push back the blood as the sugar back into the cell. But instead, the sugar remains in the blood, causing hyperglycemia. And I also, so far, I've discussed about the role of childhood experiences for parents to come together to make sure that children are raised, supported, and given the right words. The words are powerful. Words can germinate, and if care is not taken, when negative word are spoken to a child, the child begins to take it as that's the reality. Personality is also important too as well. You don't have to have it all figured out. And that was the same thing from our fictional case study where Dr. Alex believed that he needed to have everything figured out, despite he has the skill set, despite he has the knowledge and experience, he would always doubt himself. Okay? I hope you're gaining something. I know so well that there is also the role of the social determinant of health, meaning environment, income, education, and sometimes when somebody from a low social class find themselves in an environment that is above where they started from, or maybe from an higher class, imposter syndrome begin to set in. At times where you move from one country to another, or from one job to another, and because you're still figuring out how to, how the culture of the place, you begin to doubt yourself. But I'm saying to you that give it time. Give it time. Just act normal. Just be normal. Just be normal. Give it time. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to compare apples to pineapples. Stop comparing your first page to somebody else's last page. Meaning, stop comparing your 6-month experience to somebody who already has about 25 years of experience. Give it time. Rome was not built in a day. So, measure up. You can be whatever you set your mind to do. Only if you do not allow imposter syndrome to take a larger part of you. Right? Now, we've discussed about what it is, what imposter syndrome is, what it does to the body, what it does to the brain, how it could come, like the causes of imposter syndrome. But now is, how do we manage or deal with imposter syndrome? Because like I told you, it doesn't come in one day. And if you do not pay attention, it will take, but by the time you realize that it's imposter syndrome, you're gone. You're gone in the sense that it has taken a whole lot from you. It has prevented you from taking that job. It has prevented you from applying for those jobs. It has prevented you from moving higher in your career. I remember, and here's how sometimes imposter syndrome comes in. Have you ever noticed a medical student? Let's have a conversation. Let's talk, medical student. You are in class. And then there is this classmate of yours that you admire so well because this person is intelligent. And the person is in class and is saying, wow, look at student A, is so brilliant. And this is just self-talk within that student. Is so brilliant. Do you realize that the student A that you're admiring is also like having conversation with himself like, oh, look at you. Like within him, you are so brilliant. Why the comparison? Be yourself. We're all unique. Let's accept and celebrate and complement our diversity. Diversity in knowledge, diversity in skills, diversity in professions, diversity in any good thing. Let's complement, let's celebrate it. Yes. So now I left off with how do we tackle imposter syndrome? Because it's not just about stating it, it's also about how do we deal with imposter syndrome, right? So let's start with the first thing is acknowledge the feeling. If you don't know that you have something, then you don't know what you're looking for, and you might not even be reaching out for help. So you want to acknowledge it. It's okay. I'm telling you, it's okay. Trust me, believe me. It's okay for you to have that feeling that, and see, you're not alone. In all honesty, you are not alone. Remember the statistics that I gave at the beginning of this conversation? That leaders, executives, entrepreneurs, people, CEOs also experience imposter syndrome. In fact, imposter syndrome is so common among high achievers. People who are extremely doing well, that the world is seeing them, that wow, this is amazing. They still doubt themselves. They still believe that they still have to do more and more and more and more and more, and then they burn themselves out. So how do we deal with imposter syndrome? And I hope with this conversation so far, I hope you're taking your time to reflect of how you have prevented yourself from not applying to that job, from not applying for that role, for not taking that step, all because of self-doubt. Remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. All you just need, and you know what? Just like there's a part of the brain that is responsible for this, a part of the brain that records error, that detects error, mistakes, amygdala hijack, right? That process threats and fear. there's also a part of the brain as well that if you activate it through good positive self-talk, you're going to be releasing so many good hormones, the happy hormones. One of it will be dopamine. It's a good hormone, happy hormone, and it will boost your motivation. It will boost your self-esteem, all from using a strategy called the positive self-talk. What do you say to yourself? What do you say to yourself is very important. Watch what you say to yourself, because the truth is that whatever you say to yourself, your brain, when I talked about the neuroscience of imposter syndrome, your brain, your body will pick all that and process it for you. So it's not left for you to deal with it, or for it to deal with you. So something has to be dealing with something. It's either imposter syndrome deals with you, or you will deal with imposter syndrome. But that's why I'm here. That's why we're having this conversation. I do not want, it is too much. It has taken a long time. And I want you to take charge. I don't want imposter syndrome to deal with you anymore, because you're perfect just the way you are. We've been waiting for you a long time. But because of self-doubt, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Mind you, I'm not a motivational speaker, but I'm telling you the truth. A lot of people have not reached their full potential, all because of imposter syndrome, all because of the feeling that I'm not perfect and I'm not good enough. But you are. You are. So the first thing is that acknowledge it. Acknowledge the feeling. Acknowledge that it's there. Acknowledge the feeling that something is not right. Because while you're acknowledging that, it pushes you, it encourages you to reach out for support. And secondly, like I said, positive self-talk, because it will release those happy hormones, serotonin, dopamine, and it will boost your motivation. It gives you that confidence, the audacity. All you need is the audacity. You don't have to have it all figured out, but use the natural things within you, which is positive self-talk. Another thing is to reframe the negative thoughts, right? So that still falls under positive self-talk, actually. But you reframe it. An example would be changing I can't to I can. Saying to yourself, I am capable, instead of I don't think I have what it takes, right? You do. You do have what it takes. So reframing those negative thoughts, and then changing them to positive self-talk to increase your motivation and your confidence and your audacity. So you have the audacity, you go for it. Because personally, I am rooting for you. Personally, world leaders are rooting for you. You have everything it takes. Another thing would be tracking your achievements. Keep a record of your achievements. When you do that, when you doubt yourself, there'll be times where sometimes it's okay. It's okay. You can doubt yourself. But what I'm just saying is that you don't want that to take a whole, it's not something that happens all the time. Something that prevents you from achieving your potential. And see, when imposter syndrome sets in, you begin to make silly mistakes. You begin to make mistakes that, things that that when they call you to it, you be like, did I just do that? You know why? Do you know why that happened? Just because the part of the brain, right, has taken charge. That's, again, we'll go back to the amygdala hijack. Fear will make you do things. Fear will make you to make error, mistakes. Your performance will drop. So you can see that imposter syndrome has not come to joke. If you give imposter syndrome the chance, it will take charge. But we're having this conversation today because I want you to take charge. So you keep a track of your your achievements, because it helps you in future or along the line whenever you face tasks that you think you cannot do. You can always go back. Say, I did this and I can do even much more. And when people give you compliments, take it. Take the credit. Take it. Stop saying, oh, really? Don't be too overly humble. Humility. They're two different things. When humility is turning to low self-esteem. We see that happen. It does happen. It does happen. So you take charge. You take compliments, rather. When people give it to you, take it. Don't even question it. Oh, you did so amazingly well today. Thank you. Not, really? Did I do amazingly? No, 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 no. You did. Thank you. And take that thank you with all audacity. Take the thank you with all audacity because you've worked hard for it. Remember, we are all becoming, just like the book from Michelle Obama. We are the becoming. Nobody is perfect. Nobody has it all figured out. We are all becoming. So celebrate the current situation. Celebrate your current self. Take compliments. It's important. Take compliments. Don't doubt it. Don't push it away. Celebrate it. And no success is small, right? Every little success. And it's also important, I know, in the aspect of dealing with imposter syndrome and how imposter syndrome could lead to fear, anxiety. You see, there are times where you need to, say, for instance, you need to climb about 27 staircase, or you need to take about 27 steps. It's okay. Just take one step at a time. You don't need to figure out how you're going to take all the 27 the steps in one, in just one thinking. You don't need to do that. One step at a time. So a lot of times we see people, go into that mode of imposter syndrome when they have too many things going on. And so they're not able to accomplish any of those tasks, and they become as if they're not capable, they're not competent. So those are the things sometimes we have to watch out for. Are you putting too much in your plate? Are you taking too much responsibilities? Are you the one that, you don't want to say no? You just always want to say yes to everything. Why would you do that to yourself? Right? Imposter syndrome would let you say yes to what you're supposed to say no to because you don't want to hurt people. You want to be in the good book of everybody. That's part of it as well. So watch yourself. Are you taking too much? Are you stretching yourself beyond your elastic limits? Are you? You want to be in everybody's good book at the detriment of your own mental health, at the detriment of your physical health, at the detriment of your wellness and well-being. Remember, it's Vital Talk with Adeola Folorunso. Also, this is very important, especially in the day and time of social media. I think it's a whole different topic entirely with social media. The role of social media, what social media does to our mental health. When you go on social media, it's as if everybody except you has it all figured out. Everybody's succeeding except you. Limit your exposure to that mentality that everybody has it all figured out. Limit that. It's okay. We all have our momentum. Follow your pace. Follow your step. Appreciate yourself. Be good to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be patient with yourself. You're starting a new job. You're new to a particular job. You're still learning the principles and the policies or the work ethics of the place. Be patient. You're still learning the job, the tricks, and how it's being done. Ask for help. And sometimes imposter syndrome will prevent you from asking for help because you believe that you should have it, you should have everything all figured out. You believe that, oh, now if I ask now, they will think I'm a dum dum. No, you're not. Remember, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. In fact, it's a sign of strength because you are acknowledging your limits and you want to grow. So, with imposter syndrome, it will prevent you from having the growth mindset. So, be patient with yourself. Ask for help, ask for support, reach out. Who are your mentors? Who mentors you? You have to choose your mentors right. Just because somebody has a very robust, enticing portfolio, and then you jump into that person and say, "Yeah, this person is going to be my mentor." You need to match where you're going, your goals. You have to be strategic to who you want to mentor you. Because a lot of time we've seen situations whereby people go to mentor and they become worse. Because both the mentor and the mentee are not aligned. There has to be alignment. And if you're not careful, you might be misaligned. You might. You might be given the wrong direction, or you might be taking the wrong direction or wrong information, right? So choose your mentor wisely and be patient because you don't want to be with the wrong mentor. You don't want to do that to yourself because that's going to make you begin to think you have made mistakes in your life. And you become anxious and you begin to lose your own confidence and imposter syndrome setting. So I've talked about celebrating little success, reframing the negative thoughts, the social media as well, the feeling that everybody has it all figured out except you. What about, this is another important one to me, you watching your circles? Who are your friends? Who do you spend your time with? What do they tell you? You're going south. Your goal is to go south. But you're working with people that are heading north, to the north. Tell me, at some point, you get frustrated because you're not heading towards towards the same direction. You're heading towards the wrong direction. So who are in your circle? Who are your friends? Who do you spend quality time with? Right? What do they tell you? What do they speak to you? What are you constantly exposed to from your friends? Goes a long way. It's very important. You know, it's very important. Surround yourself only with quality and positive people. Only quality, positive people. So I'm challenging you. Go back to your circle. Do a self-reflection. What are your friends telling you? What are you pouring into them? What are they pouring into you? Because one of the strategies for you, like I said, is to identify it. And if you don't identify that you are even going through imposter syndrome or you have imposter syndrome, where is your therapy coming from? Where is the treatment going to come from? Where is intervention? Because you will not be facing reality because you won't even know you're exhibiting one. So doing a proper root cause analysis will help. So if the cause of it, what is causing it is your circle of friendship, you better start changing those friends right now. I'm not saying um I'm not saying that you should be harsh or you should just let go of them, but with wisdom, know how long and how often you expose yourself to people who are not going in the same direction that you intend to go. Because if you are intending to go south, you always with people going west, you will find yourself in no time in west. That's the truth. That's how it works. Because your energy would go right there to the people you're constantly exposed to. You continue to attract. You continue to attract you towards that. So check your inner circle. When it comes to imposter syndrome, I'm challenging you right now. I'm telling you, take the audacity. Come out of your comfort zone. It's very important. Come out of your comfort zone. Challenge yourself. You have everything it takes. Even if you do not have everything, all the old qualification, apply to that job. Put in the application. Do it. Take a step further. Challenge yourself. Come out of your comfort zone and get things done. Try it for once and you will thank me many times. You know, take up that presentation. Apply for those scholarships, the grants, the opportunities, the seminar, the conferences. Apply. Go, 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 go. Don't say, hey, I don't want to go there because there's going to be a whole lot of intellectuals, and I don't think I'm capable. And then you just subchange yourself. Do it. Go. You find out that you might even be one of the smartest people in the room. Yes, do that. Remember, every baby step we count. You don't have to have all the steps figured out. Take one baby step and you will be on your way to tackling imposter syndrome. Oh, have you heard about comparison before? You compare yourself. And that's what's in our case study with Dr. Alex. He was comparing himself with people who already have a whole lot of experience, years of experience, and he was just starting out. Right? Avoid comparison because it's a steal of joy. It's a steal of comparison will steal your originality, it will steal your confidence, your motivation, and it will leave you with self-doubt. You become a shadow of yourself with comparison. Face your life, mind your business, do what is you're expected to do. Be on your lane. If you need support, reach out, but don't compare. Like I said, professional help does a whole lot of magic. More importantly, learn to set realistic goals. Goals that are realistic. Because most time when you don't meet up those goals, you get into panic phase. You begin to panic, right? When you don't meet up those goals. And you begin to doubt yourself that you're not capable, you're not competent. Because you're having too much on your plate. Set realistic goals. Don't bite too much. Don't bite too much. Because how are you going to chew it? You're going to get yourself choked because you can't bite well. The process of mastication cannot really take place. The process of proper grinding, understanding, digestion, and how you can actually, those things can be useful for you will not take place because you are taking too much. You're saying yes to everything because you want to be in that person's good book. Set realistic goals. Take up realistic tasks because when you don't meet up, that's when you begin to have that feeling of you're not capable. Be open-minded as well. Be open-minded. When it comes to imposter syndrome, and you see what I find out is that people dealing with imposter syndrome, they're not always open to correction because they believe that um, they have it, they should know it all. It should not happen to them. So they can like, do whatever, I'm gonna get it fixed. No, be open. There is always that room and opportunity for growth. So have the growth mindset by being open to corrections and feedback. Take feedback. And those are one of the things Dr. Alex from our fictional case study, those were one of the strategies he used and he's doing amazingly well. I don't know where Dr. Alex is. Like I said, it's a fictional case study. But the truth is that it happens. So be open-minded. When challenges come, be open-minded. See challenges as opportunity for growth and not an opportunity, right, to destroy you, but an opportunity for growth, right? So be compassionate to yourself. Give it time. Reach out for support. Avoid comparison. Have that positive self-talk with yourself. You are not alone, and your achievement is a true reflection of your hard work. Okay? Your body, your brain will always want to tell you you're not good enough, but you are perfect the way you are. So, you always want to be protected from, or always want to isolate yourself from taking up roles, opportunities, because that is the survivor instinct, according to Dr. Tara, scientists rather. But the truth is that you're not alone. Reach out for help because you have everything it takes. On that note, and this brings us to the end of today's conversation on imposter syndrome. I hope you've been able to learn so many things. When you come across this video, make sure you share. You can connect with me on my Facebook page on Matter Mental. And you can also visit my website on mattermental.com where I release a lot of information, articles around mental health, neurodiversity, or neurodivergence. And also you can find me on LinkedIn as well as Adeola Folorunso. So I want you to go out there. I challenge you with your audacity to take up that role, take up that position, to apply for that program because you are just perfect the way you are. And again, you don't have to have it all figured out. On that note, we come to the end of today's conversation on imposter syndrome. Thank you for listening. Adeola Folorunso.